Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stacey Storino. Normally, I'm from Joe's Dairy Bar and Grill, but today I'm here on my own YouTube channel. And it took me forever and a day to be able to get on. Usually, I do like to come on my YouTube channel live most every Friday at like around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But today there's snow, so why not? I had a hell of a time getting on, so apologies to any of my regular students who are like, where is she? It's like now 8:18 a.m. Well, live where I live in New York State and have issues. What can I tell you? Anyway, I am here today. General Q&A for entrepreneurs who are having a hard time selling right now. And definitely during Q4 or the fourth business quarter, of the year, which is October, November, December. Now, if you're in a handmade business or a products-based business, this is kind of like your Woodstock, man, because if you're not selling now, we have to really ask ourselves, what's going on, which I will bring up a couple of things that you need to examine. If you're like, I'm not getting much of any traction, it's the fourth business quarter of a year, I have a products-based business, or I have a handmade, business. But this is also good advice for people who have services or you sell digital products, digital downloads, courses, whatever, people who do coaching, definitely Q1 or the first business quarter of the year, January, February, and March tends to be the best time if you had to pick for a lot of coaches. A lot of people, yes, they want to do weight loss all year long, but we have New Year's syndrome. So, I know that when I was heavy duty life coaching, as I started crossing over into business coaching, I would have more business than I knew what to do with for the first 2 to 3 months in the year. And then, by March, everybody starts suffering from the slump if they haven't already. And that's where a lot of the New Year's syndrome wears off if it hasn't already, for weight loss or relationships, or this is going to be the year that I do my business, right? But for everybody who's in the thick of doing business now, and it's the fourth business quarter of the year, and you're not getting much, if any, sales, whether you're a products-based business, a services-based business, or a bit of both, if you're having issues, I want to kind of try and help you, because people have been doing their holiday shopping since early to mid-September. Usually, traditionally, roughly, it would start early to mid-October. So if September and October, we're almost into November as we sit here, Halloween's tomorrow as I'm going live, we are definitely in the thick of the fourth business quarter of the year. If you're having a hard time making sales and your business is up and running, this is a big deal, because unless you're like a life coach or a weight loss coach, I can tell you, you should be doing all sorts of business right now, especially as the world, has gone way more digital than it was this time last year. And yes, it has been increasing in terms of the amount of people who are buying less from a brick and mortar store and more online. It's always been the convenience factor. But now, of course, you've got, COVID and health concerns. Certain portions of the globe are going back down with at least restrictions, if not wholesale lockdown. And I know that some people watching this live or on the replay might be a little bit concerned about how that will affect them. If you're a brick and mortar, it's going to obviously affect you more than if you're not a hybrid, like a brick and mortar and online. And some of my students, especially my paid students, are in that position. But a lot of them are just selling on Etsy, Amazon, handmade. Amazon itself, if they're not handmade, they could be doing a brisk business in terms of eBay and stuff like that. They could also be coaches who are selling their own courses or one-on-one or one-on group coaching in packages and stuff through their own websites, a whole bunch of stuff. I've been coaching hardcore since 2014, part-time 2013. So if you've got a question for me, come at me. It's all good. Let me start greeting people right now. Hi, Transformational Healing by Donna is here. Hi, Andrew George. I know you guys are super duper busy. Hi, Corinna. It's been a minute. Hi, Corinna. Joe. And listen, guys, if you haven't given me a thumbs up, please make sure that you do it. It really helps me out, both live because, YouTube will continue to ping people who are already subscribed to my channel. I've got over 1,100 people right now, which is not bad. Ooh, thank you for the thumbs up, guys. I really appreciate it. Ooh, hi, Christina File. What's going on? Hi, Christina. File File. Sorry. All right. So, what questions, if any, do you guys have for me? In the meantime, I'll go into my shtick because I know there's a little bit of a delay too. If you are new or relatively new in business and you're like, I don't get it, I'm putting myself out there, I have a website, I have a shop on Etsy or whatever the applicable platform is. I have been doing, I have been doing all sorts of social media marketing, and I don't know why I'm not getting much, if any, sales. One of the problems that you might have is you might have great products, or your service package might be on point with its pricing, and you might be over delivering, which you should always over deliver. It's such a competitive market for everything. You should definitely leave it all out on the dance floor, especially if you're offering services. Products, they should just speak for themselves and be rock solid, of course. You should always, okay, hold on. Sorry, I just had a notification from my business partner. All right, if you guys have any questions, if there's any way that I can help you, because I see that there's more people showing up. See, guys, give me that thumbs up, because more people who are subscribed to me for sure will get pinged. And also, YouTube has a tendency of doing matchmaking even for people who haven't subscribed to you on a live. I optimize the live, but still, the more thumbs up I get, the more questions that I get, the more data points the algorithm has to surface, and then it goes out a little more, and so on and so forth. So one thing that I would tell somebody in the fourth business quarter, if they're not a life coach or a weight loss coach or something like that, if you're not selling something that tends to get a huge boost when it comes to New Year's syndrome, like January, February, March, certain businesses are super busy then. But practically everybody else, you should be super busy right now. If you're not super busy right now, and I do have some students on right now that I know are super busy, so I'm preaching to the converted, to quite a few of you who are on here live with me right now. Hey, hold on, let me get in there so I can say hi, Marquina, what's going on? Good morning, Stacey, at least until laptop schooling, LOL. Good morning. I know you've got kids galore that you're doing stuff with, so I really appreciate you giving me time. Marquina, do you have any questions for me? So here's the thing. The biggest problem that people often have when they're trying to sell is that they don't have a clear, narrowed down niche. So it is hard. You could be putting up gorgeous pictures of products. You could be putting up lovely videos or whatever kind of content that you use for content marketing. You could be doing that. But if someone happens to see you because they're subscribed to you, they're following you, and or you optimized your content up the wazoo, you think, and people are seeing you, if they are not basically saying to themselves, custom crafted just for a person like me, there's so much competition out there that they will tend to, they are likely to slow their scroll, go, ooh, how pretty that piece of content is, that picture or whatever, and then they'll keep going. What gets them to not just slow their scroll, but stop their scroll, is when they see clearly in a mirror themselves or someone who could be just like them. And they go, that skincare is made for someone just like me. That piece of clothing is made for someone with just my tastes. That jewelry set is made for someone just like me, or someone that I'm shopping for, because now we're in the fourth business quarter of the year. You not just get people buying the same collectible goods, consumable goods that they would month in, month out. You're not just dealing with people who are buying for the regular life events that could happen any month of the year. You're also dealing with people who are doing all the end of the year holiday shopping, your Christmas, your Hanukkah, your Kwanzaa, your Festivus, whatever. So you really have to be narrowed down on your niche to the point where you're really just selling to one person all day long. And so that's going to affect not only the way that you might shoot your photographs, do your videos, come up with whatever kind of social media content that you're marketing with. That's also going to affect the words that you use in your caption, the keywords that people could be searching on, The hashtags, where applicable, not all platforms are hashtags good on. Facebook keeps wanting us to think that hashtags are important on Facebook, but not right now. But on Instagram, you live and die by your hashtags. On TikTok and Twitter, you live and die by your hashtags. It's very, very hard because so many platforms are very mature. TikTok's still way growing, but Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those have been around since, way, way more than a decade, right? So they're very mature platforms. They have billions of people on them. You can't just put up content and not optimize it at all, but often that's not the problem that people have. People put content on. It's very good content. Their products and services are on point. It's great. And they say, well, I write a caption, Stacey, and nobody seems to either be seeing my stuff, or they'll see it, they'll like it, but I'll barely get any subscribers. Or I'll get subscribers or followers or whatever the platform parlance is that we're talking about, but I don't get very many people on my email list. Or, I can get people to follow or subscribe, and I'll get some email list growth, but I can't get many or any sales. What's the problem? It isn't because your stuff's no good, more than likely. It's because when somebody comes across your content, when they encounter it, they're not seeing themselves in there. It's not touching them enough. Or you've got people finding your stuff because you've optimized it, but you haven't optimized it for just the right people that are not only members of your niche, but they're members of your niche that are ready to buy, or they're almost ready to buy. They have what we call buyer's intent. I see we've got some more people on board. That's great. Give me a thumbs up. Ask me any questions you like. When you ask me questions, when you even say hi or give it a thumbs up, the algorithm pushes us out to more of my subscribers and more people who are like my subscribers. So you're helping other people out. Even if you don't have a question, a thumbs up is really helpful and I appreciate it. Thank you. So you could say, well, I'm writing captions and I'm using hashtags and I even use all the hashtags that I can, or I write long form captions. So somebody isn't just coming by and reading one line and they go, because it's hard to hook somebody. If you don't hook their interest, if you don't intrigue them, it could be hard to sell, no matter how pretty your stuff is, no matter how much they need your service package, your course, your coaching package. If you're not showing that you totally understand by standing in their shoes, either because you're a member of your niche or you're not, you can be very successful selling to a niche where you're not one of them, but you have to make them understand that you understand their problem. Entrepreneurs are paid to solve problems. So people either have solutions that they need and your products and or services do that for them, or they have needs that aren't full-on problems, but you're helping them to satisfy those needs. They may have deeply held desires. They're not real problems, except they want to scratch the itch of whatever, and your products and or services can help them do that too. But the bottom line is, until you let them realize that, from your words and or from the content itself, that this is a solution to whatever it is they're out there searching for, or whatever it is that they are binge watching, to satisfy a need or a desire, you're not likely going to close on the sale, because you can get a bunch of people scrolling all by or discover you randomly in search because, you're using hashtags and or keywords to be found. You can be found through search on Facebook. People can just put in a word and pull you up, even though they're not looking for pages or groups. But if you're just plopping stuff out on Facebook with very little to no caption, it's going to be very hard for you to be found in Facebook. And Facebook has billions of people on it. Billions of people are using that search feature all the time to binge on content. So although hashtags to me are kind of useless there right now, it might change if they keep pushing an emphasis on it and enough people use hashtags. But as of right now, while this live is live, you don't need hashtags on Facebook, but you need keywords that that your niche is searching on in connection with their problems, their needs, their desires. If you don't understand your niche enough to know, like you could be standing in their shoes because you are them, or at least you understand people like them because this is the people you've chosen to serve, you will not understand how to use keywords in your captions on Facebook. and even long form captions on Instagram, you will not know what hashtags to use because you're just doing random acts of content and flinging them out there. And even if you technically optimize your stuff, if you're not optimizing it to be found in search by the people that you serve, you're not going to be found by the right people at all or often enough to get the subscribers that you need. Where's my water? I didn't bring it in. Duh. To get the subscribers that you need, to get the people getting onto your email list that you need. And the people on your email list won't buy from you at all or much because you're really not dealing with the one thing that's of most importance to them. Everybody carries themselves around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What are we focused and fixated on? The problems we need to solve, the needs that we want to satisfy, the desires that we would like to have fulfilled. They don't care about you. They don't care about almost anybody else. They care about themselves. And that makes sense because you care about yourselves too. You have to. If you don't take care of yourself first, even if you have a family, you're not going to take good care of them, right? So they're not bad. None of us are bad for focusing on ourselves. What we have to do as marketers, though, is to know that people aren't buying your products or services as much as they are buying the solutions that they represent. Once you start coming at your marketing from that mindset, you will be more effective in creating your content, or maybe you're just fine creating the content as you create it, but you will be more effective in terms of the captions that you write. If you have feed posts for Facebook and Instagram and they don't have captions or much of a caption, you're going to be having a hard time being found in search. Let's look at Facebook. A lot of people tell me, okay, Stacey, I have a page for my business on Facebook. If I don't at least have a page, that's almost as bad as not having a website. Statistics show that 80% of people won't buy from you if they discover you on a platform like Etsy or wherever else if you don't have a website of your own. Even if you're a course creator, you don't sell products at all, or like you sell digital products, and you're on something like Udemy or Skillshare, okay, you're still on a platform. But if you don't have a website of your own for them to go and vet you, then you feel like a hobbyist and they don't trust you enough to buy from you. 80% of the time, even though they're going to buy from you on that platform, because like say Udemy has coupons or whatever, and they weren't planning on buying from you off your website, although you should have a website where they can buy from you, because then you're not sharing with Udemy or Skillshare or Etsy or anything like that. Etsy is good as a traffic source. Amazon Handmade can be. Even eBay, depending upon how you work, it could be. Udemy, Skillshare, no matter what you're selling, no matter who you're selling it to, things are great as traffic sources, including social media, including YouTube, etc. But you should have your own website. If you don't, you are basically trying to bail out the ocean with a teacup, because you're not going to be vettable to someone who otherwise doesn't know you from Adam or Eve. Does that make sense? I see we've got more people joining us, which is cool. Guys, give me a thumbs up if you like this. If you want to help me help more of my students who are already subscribed to me, they'll get their notifications. Give me a thumbs up if you haven't already. And if you've got a question, please put it down below. I'm happy to answer you. I've got a couple more minutes, right? So I try to come on here at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every Friday, but it's snowing pretty hard where I am, and I know that's affecting stuff. So I was a little late. I apologize. But so how many of you know your niche so well that even if you're not a member of your niche, you could stand in their shoes and think to yourself, this is what they're searching on Facebook? Because if you have a Facebook page and or a Facebook group and you're shoveling content on there every day, but you don't have much, if any, of a caption to go with the content that you publish there, and or you write short captions because you don't like to write or you don't know what to say, well, then how is anyone going to find you in search? How are you going to grow that page? How are you going to grow that group on Facebook? So hashtags aren't so important on Facebook, but words are. Did you understand how important words are? Marquina says, oh no, snow already? Yeah, it's been snowing in Canada and I'm more upstate New York, so I knew it was going to hit us. Hey, Personal Space Creations. Bridget, is it snow? It's not snowing where you are, girl, I don't think. hi at Personal Space Creation. Say hi to the hubs and the moms for me. And then hi, Elzalations. Why am I not? Oh, because I didn't. Sorry. Yes. Hi, Elzalations. Cool. Give me some more thumbs up, guys, because every time you do, boom, the numbers go up. I'm in Southeast Michigan, so you guys can get snow. Are you guys getting snow soon? Let me know that. And you guys can get a lot of snow. But Tennessee doesn't tend to. Neither does Florida. Okay, so honestly, you guys, I'm in Southeast Michigan. Oh my gosh. So here's the thing. Be honest with yourselves. If you have a Facebook presence and it's not growing, you need to publish there every day. Okay. Facebook is so competitive. If you don't publish every day, you can occasionally share the same post from Facebook's page to Facebook group. I wouldn't do it all the time, or someone's going to go, why should I be in both places? I'll just be in one. But sometimes if you're really pressed for time, or even if you're planning out content strategically, we do it sometimes with Joe's Dairy Bar and Grill. We're coming up on 11,000 people on our Facebook page and really good exposure without paying for ads or boosting posts. Same thing with our Facebook group. We're at over 2,700 people in there, and people are finding us all the time. So people don't know about your business on Facebook. Let's start with Facebook. I'll go to Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok next. But if they don't know enough to even know about you, or the name of your products, or the name of your service packages, or the name of your book or your blog, or whatever it is that you're trying to drive traffic to, you got to drive traffic to your business to do business, then how are they going to find you on Facebook? They can find you. Facebook is a social media search engine, and there are billions of people searching on more content to binge, even if they start off as browsers, because they're getting to know you. You can progress people across the buyer spectrum on Facebook from browser to buyer without spending a penny, but sweat equity, which we had no choice but to do with Joe's back in 2015-16. We had no extra money. Our business was barely profitable back then. But through social media marketing persistently and consistently, and getting better at captions and polls and groups and things that would intrigue our people, going more multimedia, and as best we could, always optimizing for search on Facebook, that's how you get to a Facebook page that's nearly 11,000 people strong without gaming the system with boosting posts. If you're going to pour money into Facebook, I'd rather you spend it on ads than boosting posts or buying likes or garbage like that. I don't even know if you can buy likes anymore. It's nothing we ever did, but at one point that was a thing. But that's also gaming the system. You don't need a bunch of followers who aren't getting on an email list, caring about what you post or buying. If they're not buying from you, who cares, right? Nobody here, I don't think, is trying to just strictly be an influencer and just get like deals and promos and stuff like that. Most of my students are selling products. There's a very healthy dose that are, in the food service industry and or they're selling services. But, even if you're an influencer, you don't want a huge community that's not engaging with you in your posts, because today's businesses are getting savvier. They'd rather have a micro influencer who might have 5,000 followers or subscribers or whatever or less, depending upon the platform parlance, but they have an engaged community. Those people are getting the deals. Unless you are the biggest of the big, all the folks in between are starting to starve out, because if they don't have an engaged community, it's not going to translate into sales. People don't need to spend big buku dollars just to get brand awareness. They can do that with strategic social media marketing, and so can you. That's just sweat equity. You don't have to pay somebody a ridiculous amount of money. Marquina says, I should probably find out when we're getting snow. Got to get my little one a new coat. He had a growth spurt. Yeah, mine is too. He's going to have to get some new stuff. Personal Space Creations. They have 2 feet of snow in Fairbanks. Tennessee might be getting a dusting of snow for Christmas. I love Tennessee. Hubby and I are working on reducing the niche. He keeps wanting to say people or women and men instead of just women, and it's driving me nuts. That's a really good point, Bridget. So let me just say this. When you're narrowing down your niche, you will know the words to use and not just the content to use for content marketing. You will be even savvier about creating products that will actually sell, because the more narrowed down your niche, the more it's like shooting fish in a barrel. You can really focus on them. You can become obsessive compulsive about them. You'll know where to go to study them. It's really easy. And then you can just draft off what they're saying and commenting on Facebook pages and Facebook groups and on influencers that they follow on Instagram and so forth. You'll be able to kind of study them, kind of ethically stalk them, and you can see what they like and what they don't like, what they engage in, what they don't engage in, what they're asking for from businesses or influencers or whatever they're discussing amongst themselves and saying what they like and what they don't like, what they wish they'd see more of, and then you can sell more efficiently to them, right? The business success formula is deceptively simple. There's 3 parts to it, and all my hardcore students know it. So repeat after me, guys and girls. Number 1, know your humans, know your niche. Number 2, know what they want and or need. And number 3, you make that and you sell it to them. It's not what you think they want. And sometimes when you're a member of your niche, it's easy to make that mistake. I've been there back in 2013 and 14. I thought I knew my niche because I was my niche initially. Once I started to poll and ask people in real life and poll in Facebook groups and stuff, lo and behold, they told me what they wanted and selling got easier. So whether it's product, services, or a bit of both, don't just do random acts of content and don't just do random acts of products either. But let me draft off what Bridget from Personal Space Creation said. And this might be hard for your hubby to understand. Well, you might at the end of the day end up selling to both sexes, because, some people might just cross-pollinate and decide you're one of their kind anyway. You'll take their money, and if you're solving their problems anyway, or satisfying their desires anyway, or they're shopping for other people who would be in your niche, that's cool. But the mistake that a lot of people make is they think that they've narrowed down to the point where it's enough, and it's really not enough if you're trying to sell actively to both sexes. Does that make sense? Hey, Brookfield Candle Company, what's going on? Guys, there's more of you. Give me a thumbs up, because I'm telling you, every time you do, it's like another person comes on because the algorithm keeps pinging people. So give me a thumbs up, please, so more of my followers get the notification that I'm live, and they'll be more likely to get the notification on the replay. It really is kind of that simple. So help me, help more of you. So all you have to do is give a thumbs up. If you've got a question while I'm live, I've got at least a couple more minutes. You can ask me the question. I'm answering you for free. So go ahead and do it, right? So here's the thing. You do have to pick a sex, or you haven't narrowed down your niche enough. 9-figure success Alex Sharfin, who's been with 3 different companies in the Fortune 500, 3 separate companies, 3 separate years, if I'm not mistaken, too. He has said he coaches to people who are, their businesses are $1 million plus or minus and above, but the minus ain't a lot. I was lucky enough to have an audience with him because of somebody else that I knew. And he made it brutally, honestly clear that he can have people who have near $1 million businesses come to him and say, we're doing a lot of the right stuff, right? And he helps to confirm that they are, but he says, you have to niche down tighter. And they're like, well, we are super niche down. And he's like, but you need to niche down tighter to blow up more. Even at hundreds of thousands of dollars, if you hit a ceiling or there's only so much efficacy or effectiveness to your marketing means, a lot of times, not always, but a lot of times you haven't narrowed down enough. And these people were trying to be in the health and fitness niche for both men and women. It was a husband-wife team with their business. And Alex said, without changing anything else that you do in any big way, pick a man or a woman as your ideal customer. Because I agree with you, you've narrowed down a lot. But to blow up more, you really have to pick one sex. Can you sell to both sexes? He said, yeah. Once your business is well over $1 million for a year or more, then I'll allow you to get a second target market. It's like what I've told a lot of my students when they're like, I have a hard time picking a niche. I'm like, look, it's not just picking a sex. Maybe in both niches that they want, they're both female. And the niches may be very, very related. And I get that. So you might want to sell to a lot of folks because you figure the more people you sell to, the more money you're going to make. But the world is so crowded and online is so crowded and social media is so crowded, you can't just, unless you're brand new to a platform blowing up, suddenly cast out a generalized net. So you have to make the decision what niche you have. And I tell people, it's hard. You can't ride two horses with one butt, right? So when you are a beginner business person, you're not making any or many sales, or you've been making sales, but you've hit a ceiling. I get the urge to want to cast out your net and go more, but you actually have to niche down tighter so that your marketing hits them better, so that your products and services are even tighter custom crafted, because statistically speaking, people will spend more money for things that are custom crafted for a narrowed down slice of society that they're in. They don't want a one size fits all. You don't generally want that with clothes. People don't generally want that with solutions. This is perfect for everybody. And even going all men or all women will like this, it's not enough. So what I'm telling you is you can't ride two horses with one butt, but like what Alex Sharfin said, to kind of marry the two, once you get to a point where you're a 7-figure business and you've still got some decent growth, then you can kind of like hook up multiple horses to one common chariot. And then you can do that. You can have more than one horse, but you have to have a fantastically successful, profitable, solid, stable business with a super narrowed down niche that, yes, even gets to one sex. But so you can have more than one horse. You can't necessarily have it right away. And even if you think you've narrowed down enough, let me give you an example of what narrowing down enough really might look like. And then I'll give you a way to understand how you haven't narrowed down too much. That is a rarer problem. I did discuss this 1-2 weeks ago, even on a live here, but I'll do this quick. So if you think that you're selling something, it doesn't matter what it is, product, service, or whatever. You think that you're narrowing down your niche when you say, okay, I know that if I try to sell to everybody, as the old saying goes, I end up selling to nobody. And I'm not a simpleton, Stacey. I know that I got to pick a sex. So I've been trying to sell to mostly, if not all, women anyway, let's just say. And so maybe that's not narrowed down enough. That's fine. So maybe I will narrow down to the point where my content, my products, my services are for professional millennial women who are moms with college education. And they're probably working white collar, because I know that practically no matter what I sell and no matter who I sell it to, I really have to shoot for people that are in a tax bracket of upper middle class and above. Because someone living paycheck to paycheck or not much better can't buy from you because they don't have any disposable income, or they're just saving up for birthdays, life events, and end of the year holidays at best. And so you'll make some money, but you really want to get a customer in with your content marketing, get them onto your email list and following you on social and buying from you every month. Don't you think that you would have a more profitable business, no matter what you're selling and no matter who you're selling it to, if only they bought from you more regularly than just a couple of scattershot things a year that they buy? Well, if you're pitching to middle class, tax bracket or under, it's an exercise in either complete futility, or you're going to end up getting a bunch of scattershot orders from a bunch of scattershot people who may love what you do, but they can't afford it. So it's all well and good to say, okay, I'm selling my products and or services for women who are a certain generation, even, 30 to 40 years old within a generation, right? Because that's still containing millennials. So that's narrowing, right? And then you say, okay, and they're professional white collar women. So that's a good shot that they're upper middle class, right? Or that they can at least afford what I'm selling on the regular, and that they're moms, right? And they're doing the whole work-life balance thing. Isn't that narrowed down enough? That might have been narrowed down enough 10, 15 years ago on the internet or any of the major social media platforms. That is not narrowed down enough to sell today, unless you already had a sizable following and you have so many rabid fans that in real life and digitally you've got word of mouth, and they just keep feeding more people into your funnel. And so the algorithms like you because you've already got a bunch of people engaging with your posts and sharing them and watching your videos and all that stuff. It's great when you're there, but if you haven't been in business for 10, 20 years or longer, and you haven't been working social media for years, you are not in a state of perpetual motion like that. You really have to drill down and narrow down in order to blow up. So it is not enough to say that you sell to all women who are professional with college education, that are millennials, that are 30 to 40 years old and have kids, because you are still going to write captions that sound too broad. You are still going to use hashtags that may be too broad. You might still be employing keywords in titles or in captions, and it's still too broad because there's too many people out there who fit that mold. Personal Space Creation says, I tried to explain it by saying that the big companies even target women and men differently by shooting different commercials. That is true. We don't have the money or time to do more than one marketing campaign. You don't, especially when you don't have enough time. See, usually with entrepreneurs, when you don't have the money, you need to double or triple down on time. And when time is at a premium because you're a parent, you're doing elder care, whatever your situation is, you really have to be very choosy. So you really have to speak to just one type of person, and you have to be able to use the words they're using and to talk about the problems, needs, and desires that they have. If you're one of them, that's a lot easier to do. But I have students who are selling to people that they're not in a member of their niche, but for whatever the reason, maybe they have kids that are like their niche, right? Even adult children that are like their niche. So they can make Renaissance costumes for people, for example, but they don't go to the Rennie Fair. They went once and said, it's not for me. But they have a business making, period pieces of, costumes for Renaissance fairs, for, plays, for TVs and stuff, reenactments, Civil War reenactments. They like that, but they can talk to the people, and their audience is women predominantly. So they're talking to women, and they're talking to women that like to step out and be in a fantasy world, So if you like what your people like, you need to talk to them, talking about their needs, their desires. If you're not a member of your niche, you need to study them and or have people in your life that you can channel so that you can use their jargon. Depending upon the situation, you can use their industry slang. You can use the things that are popular with them. You have to be a part of their world, even tangentially, because a parade of product pictures and a tsunami of sales announcements isn't going to appeal when you're like, is this mic on? Isn't going to draw more people to you with or without ads. If no one's finding you in search, or you're getting drowned out, like on Instagram, if you're using a hashtag that's too popular, too broad, you're getting drowned out in seconds anyway. Now, people can search on keywords or words on Instagram too without throwing a hashtag in front of it, but they're more hashtag heavy there. So sure, there's a lot of search on hashtags. Instagram is a search engine, a social media search engine. But if you're not writing much of any caption, you're not giving yourself enough word hooks to cast out there to reel in fish. If you're going too broad with the hashtags and or words that you use on Instagram or the words that you use on Facebook, you're not going to be found in search by anybody who desperately needs your solutions, desperately wants what you have to sell, because you're not giving them enough hooks to discover you, right? So I love it when people go, I've created a Facebook and an Instagram account, and I publish every day. In fact, I publish 3 times a day, and I use 30 hashtags for a feed post on Instagram, and I write long form captions on Facebook. And I go and I look at their stuff, and it's like, okay, on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, you live and die by your hashtags, you do. But if you're using hashtags that are generalized but happen to apply to your content, and they're broad and competitive, and they're not competitive either, you're going to get buried in seconds, and you're basically screaming into a crowd and you're going to disappear in seconds. Or you're so broad that even if somebody did find you, they're not making that kind of like heartfelt connection or even the mental connection that they need to be that invested in what you're showing them for them to care, because they're one in a million out there. Like, and I use this example a lot, but it's the same difference between if you have a picture of hummingbird earrings and you use 30 hashtags and you write a caption, but you're not so much talking about hummingbird earrings, you're talking about hummingbirds, and you're using hashtag hummingbird and hashtag hummingbirds of Instagram. If those things are so super competitive, you're buried in seconds. But even if you get like a hummingbird enthusiast who is going to sit there and scroll, they're going to look up the hashtag for hummingbird, let's say, and they'll scroll for a while. They got time to kill. I don't know why. And they find your post. If they're not looking for jewelry anyway, they're not likely to buy. Maybe some will because they're just so crazy about hummingbirds and your stuff's pretty. So you got like what they call in football a Hail Mary pass and it worked. I'm not guaranteeing you that it won't work, but if you don't have time and you don't have money, but you realize that you have to content market because you have to go where the attention is, give yourself a ghost of a chance of not just being found, but being found by someone who is likely to buy from you now, or they're going to keep following you because any second now, any payday now, they're going to buy from you. So that would be hashtag hummingbird earrings. That would be hashtag hummingbird jewelry. And even if you don't depict or show a hummingbird necklace or a necklace that would go with that hummingbird collection in a picture or a video as part of, say, your Instagram feed post, if your caption references that there's a corresponding necklace, then legit, you shouldn't get penalized by the algorithm if you mention that there's a hummingbird necklace to go with this or a necklace that's part of the hummingbird collection. Then I would argue you could also use hashtag hummingbird necklace. Don't you think that someone searching on hashtag hummingbird earrings is more likely to be in a shopping mindset than somebody that's like hummingbird, hummingbirds of Instagram, birds of Instagram? Really, like, does this make sense to you guys? But if you understood your niche, you wouldn't just understand to use hashtag, hummingbird earrings instead of just hashtag hummingbird to sell that product. You would also be like, if they're an animal lover or a bird lover, you'd also know what words to weave into the caption that might give you more hooks just to be, found as a word search or a keyword search on Instagram. You do not have to put a hashtag in front of a word to get a successful search on Instagram. People use these social media platforms increasingly as search engines because they spend up to an hour of their lives on Facebook, a separate hour of their lives on Instagram, and then at least a separate hour of their lives on Twitter or TikTok. They're spending 3 hours a day, full-blown adults with disposable income. They're paying attention to that when maybe they should pay attention more to work. But that's not your problem. You're out there trying to sell to them. But just putting the stuff out there and praying somebody sees it isn't good enough. And just because you use keywords and hashtags in your descriptive, that helps, but it might not be good enough to make the sale. If you are not using words and sometimes even hashtags that key in on the needs, the problems, and or the desires of your ideal customer, like you're in their heads, this is why you have to narrow down so tight, then how are you going to sell to them? They may even encounter your content, but not be compelled to buy. And it's not because the pictures aren't pretty, or the video snippets that you put out aren't pretty. And those can make sales. I'm not saying they can't. But if you want more sales, you need to have somebody read that caption that corresponds with your feed post on Facebook or Instagram, for example, and go, wow, they get me. They get what I'm really into, what I desire. They really get my problems and or my needs because they're either just like me or, man, they really get people just like me. Then they're more apt to buy or at least follow you and binge your stuff to the point where they talk themselves into buying sooner or later. Does this make sense? Does this kind of help you understand why, even in a busy business quarter like Q4, for a lot of my products people and even my services people, even if the first business quarter of the year you're aided by New Year's syndrome, I would argue there's a lot of people stuck at home. Upper middle class and above tends to be the tax brackets that will have disposable income. If they're commuting less, they may need your services more to fill up time. They may need your products more for their Zoom calls, for business, for dating, for personal, right? They may need some fresh clothes. They've gotten bigger. They've gotten smaller with the COVID-19, or they're working out and taking care of themselves now. So they need more clothes. They may need more of whatever you sell, wholesale or retail, to fix whatever's going on in their lives, or to at least they're nesting now, they're remodeling. The amount of students of mine, when things were the ugliest in the spring, that sold furniture, decor, quilts, candles, all sorts of stuff, they sold like crazy because people who are, upper middle class and above can get what they want. They have disposable income. And they're like bored and they're nesting and they're remodeling, or they're taking up new hobbies, or their kids are taking up new hobbies, because it can't be video games all day long. That's not healthy, right? And a lot of people came to that conclusion and said, go play with some arts and crafts. Here's some clothes for creative play. Come do this with me. Come help me with that. More and more stuff, right? My students sold all day long. And they continue to. Their Q4s are off the charts because they've gotten an even bigger social following, an even bigger email list to email market to. Approximately 75% of your sales should come from your email list anyway. 60% of people who subscribe to an email list want to be sold to on the regular. They're not offended if you have a sale at least once a week. That's why they're there. They want the inside scoop. They want the coupons. They want the promos. They want whatever extra you do for your VIPs. 60% of them get on with that expectation. The other 40%, as long as you're providing them with value and it's not always a tsunami of sales announcements with your emails, they'll hang around because you're giving them value. And then when they're ready to buy from you again, they will. Does this make sense? Give me a thumbs up, you guys, if you haven't, because I'm telling you, every time I see a thumbs up, even more people come on. The algorithm is working, and I am happy. Bridget, does that make sense for you? You need to pick, not just one sex, and not just one, demographic or age bracket or tax bracket. All of these are important steps to continue to narrow down. You're not wrong for doing that. But if I had $1 for every student who initially comes to me and says, my niche are millennial moms that, are in this tax bracket with some college education, they have 2.5 kids in a Volvo, and they think, I've nailed it, right? Okay, so what are you writing in your captions to them? And if it's just more broad stuff about the challenges of motherhood, that's still better than writing a cut and dry caption that just talks about the features of whatever product or service they're talking about. But still, you do even better if it was for a certain type of millennial mom. Are you selling to millennial moms who are lawyers, who are CPAs? Are you selling to millennial moms who are entrepreneurs and have certain fears and or desires that are more unique to that crowd? Who are you selling to? Are you selling to a jewelry and a fashion freak of a millennial mom that even though she's home and she barely goes out because it's lockdown, or she works from home and now she's helping her kids get educated too, whether she wanted to or not, but she's still got to be fashionable. She's not dead yet, so she still wants to ride the current trends. And if she's a white collar professional or blue collar management and she's doing stuff by Zoom, she doesn't want to look all haggard. She wants to be all made up because she's that kind of woman. I could sell jewelry to people every day of the week. I don't even like jewelry. But if you give me a narrowed down enough person, I can run the scripts that are through their head because I will study their wants and their needs, right? And what if it's a single mom who's a white collar professional? You could talk to her even more in your captions, with your keywords, with your hashtags, that she's going to find it because she wants to get gussied up for Zoom dating, right? You need to talk to someone using a narrative that's going on in their heads and their hearts. That's when you get them. Because pretty pictures and video snippets will make people slow their scroll, but they stop dead on when you've nailed it, right? Call off the dogs. The search is over. You get them. You know what they want. You know what they need. And you show it with the words and how you optimize. Now you've optimized your content for buyer intent, not just any buyer. The specific buyer who's the specific sex, who's not just the specific demographic or age range or tax bracket, but that specific human being. Does this make sense? Like if you're selling makeup, are you selling, skincare? Let's do skincare. If you're selling skincare, it's great to say that the skincare is green and eco. So you're probably selling to women, and you're probably selling to women who, are a certain age range, tax bracket, have disposable income, because they know they're going to spend more for the quality and the sourcing and all of that. Okay. And you can weave a lot of this into your content marketing from time to time. That's great. They want to understand that you geek out on the features that they do, that you geek out on the world being green like they do, right? And keeping it as green as possible and keeping things sustainable and small batches and handmade and stuff like that. But that can still be too broad to get as many sales as you would like, even in Q4. So are you talking to a busy mom who still goes out if stuff isn't locked down, or she works out at home, right? Either which way. And she trains really hard because she doesn't want to gain the COVID-15. And this is her me time. And this helps her mentally, physically, emotionally. You could even argue financially, because she's sharp, she's healthy, she's on her game. She doesn't want to lose it with all this lockdown crap. She can't stand it. So she's going to work out. And because you either are her or you get her, and you show her in the content. You discuss these things in your lives or in your YouTube videos or on your podcasts. You even study your people enough that you see the hashtags that they use, and you mimic that to drive more who are your buyer, who have the intent to buy from you, people like you. You market to them enough, you win them over. They will start buying from you, even if they weren't buying. Don't have a narrative to run to show people that you get them, to the point that when you put up your hashtags, your keywords, your captions, so that they read it and go, oh, it's like I'm looking in a mirror. If you're not doing, then you haven't narrowed enough. So you failed the first level of the 3 prongs. You failed the first prong of the 3-prong business success formula. Know your humans. Know what they want and or need. Make that and sell it to them. It's not enough to just say that women need skincare, or that more women like eco or organic skincare. So that's what I'm for. Hi, Miss Heather. This is a good one. You're going to have to watch the replay. Does everybody kind of get what I'm talking about here? Heather just got on, so she's going to have to watch the replay. Right? So, Bridget, with you, you're not just picking like women or men, and you're not just, because I know you have a brick and mortar, but you can sell online too. But a lot of what you're going to sell to are people in your part of Tennessee, people in your neighborhood. What can you do to weave in what's unique about being people in your neighborhood? What can you do with what you sell? Like, why should they come to you over someone else? Just saying that folks are number one, and I'm not saying Bridget's doing this. We're number one. We're the best. Or talking about features all day long. Everybody tries to claim that they're number one. If you've won a bunch of stuff and you have logos and like proof, that's great. Talk about that all day long. But otherwise, just saying that you're the best or that you really, really care sounds really, really vanilla, because your competition's saying that too. You're a face in the crowd. What can you do? Definitely watching the replay. Oh, yeah, we're fired up. We're fired up. After a minute or two of greetings, Heather, we're all fired up. So, Bridget, I would say, for what I have in my store, how do I custom craft the digital experience for those people? Why do they want to buy local? How do I understand them and how they would use these products and services given where we all live? Like, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can spin this. but you have to narrow down. I'll be watching the replay too. Definitely too many distractions right now. I know it. Okay, I gotta like eat breakfast really quick. My fault for not bringing water to this live. I've got to hyperhydrate, as Alex Sharfin would say, actually. And then I got to get ready for Socialgram Shortcut, my Instagram course. Because every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we go live in there too. And I'm definitely going to try and get on early there today because the snow is definitely playing with my ability to get a connection. Blech. All right. So hopefully I was of service to you guys. Hopefully it makes sense. You can make better sales or any sales and then many sales in Q4, especially if you're product based. But even if you're like digital or service based too, you can do it. But your marketing has to be able to catch not just any attention, the right kind of attention from people who have a buyer mindset and have the ability to buy. And you have to show features tell, benefits sell. When you're talking about benefits, you're showing your audience that you either are one of them or you really understand one of them and that you know the benefit to them, what it will mean to them to get your products, to get your services, to satisfy their desires, to solve their problems, to address their needs. Thanks for the good content. Much appreciated. Makes sense. Guys, make sure that you subscribe to me if you haven't. I got plenty of content on here, even organized by playlists that will help you market better on Instagram, on TikTok. Joe's Dairy Bar and Grill is at almost 191,000 on TikTok. We know the hashtags to use, and we're almost 11,000 on Facebook, over 2,700 on our Facebook group, almost 11,000 on our Facebook page. We're well over 700 on YouTube, and we've barely done anything with that this year. We have to get back in the groove of that. We can show you with Joe's Dairy Bar and Grill. We know our niche. We know how to involve them with polls and content marketing. We mix it up multimedia. We do what we say we do. We are who we say we are. So I can help you, but you have to be willing to be flexible and coachable. Whether I only see you on YouTube, I see you in my paid offerings, or a bit of both. Marquina says, you definitely jog my brain concerning my niche. Thank you. You're welcome. All right, you guys, I'll be back 8 o'clock a.m., we hope, next Friday. For those who aren't any of my paid students, social grammars, I will see you at 10 a.m. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend. Bye.